On June 18th, a 20-year-old kid goes into a motorcycle dealership in Deerfield Beach, Florida. He gets into his BMW, and within seconds, 4 guys roll up on him, shoot him, snatch his Louis Vuitton bag, and drive off. He was rushed to Broward Health North Hospital and pronounced dead. His name was Jahseh Onfroy, known as XXXTentacion. And here's the thing, within hours of the kid dying, the internet completely broke in half. Half of it was genuine, deep mourning for one of the most gifted, unpredictable artists of his generation. The other half was saying, and I'm just being honest here, that he got what he deserved. And I'm not gonna tell you which half I think was right, I'm just here to tell you the whole story. Because nobody's just one thing. And Jahseh XXXTentacion was way more complicated than that, and more on that later. My name's Alex Majewski, also known as J Sky. Thank you for tuning into the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and check out my videos. I drop one every single week, and I also include interviews and mini documentaries that I do out in the field at shows with a bunch of cool artists. Now let's get into it. Jahseh Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy was born January 23rd, 1998 in Plantation, Florida. Not really far at all from where I grew up in Florida, just about 20 minutes south. A suburb in Fort Lauderdale. His background was Jamaican and Indian on his mother's side. His parents were essentially absent. His father was not in the picture. His mother, Cleopatra, was struggling and doing what she could. He was raised largely by his grandmother. Very similar situation to me. I left home, moved in with my grandparents after like 16, turning 17, left Florida, went to New York. That's a long story. And look, I want to be careful here because I'm not saying a tough childhood excuses anything, but you have to understand what this kid was working with. You know what I mean? This wasn't a kid who grew up with stability, with structure, with someone at every step saying, you matter, you have a future, here's what that looks like. That groundwork was just not there. And by the time he was 13, he was already catching charges, getting sent to juvie. I just know this life. I had friends that were getting locked up and arrested from the time I was in middle school just like this. Luckily, I was smart enough to stay out of the streets, but I definitely had my run-in with doing a bunch of dumb shit early on, which makes me really resonate with his story just because I get it. Early on, Jahseh was having troubles and he was being rebellious. His mom sent him to the Sheridan House Family Ministries residential program when he was just a middle schooler. This is around 10, 11, 12 years old, following his expulsion for getting into fights in school. His time in juvenile detention came later in his adolescence. He was sent to juvie multiple times between 2012 and 2014, where he met Ski Mask, the Slump God. While locked up, they would pass time freestyling and writing raps. And if you know his catalog and really know it, he's so diverse and musically gifted. He ranges from emo to trap metal to having crazy bars, and there's something really in there that was deep, just prolific in the way he would speak and extremely troubled in the way he would often act. He reminds me of a modern Tupac in a way, almost an angel and devil kind of thing going on each shoulder, and he struggled kind of trying to find that middle ground, and unfortunately, let's just talk about it. When he got out of juvie, he started to link up with people in the local SoundCloud scene in South Florida, and that's when he really started to make moves. If you weren't plugged into the SoundCloud rap scene around 2015, 2016, let me paint you a picture. This was the wild west of music. No gatekeepers, no A&R guy in a suit deciding what got heard. Kids were recording on cheap interfaces in their bedrooms, uploading raw, lo-fi, emotionally chaotic music, and getting millions of plays overnight. And Jahseh, going by XXXTentacion at this point, he fit in the world perfectly. His early stuff was intentionally abrasive, chaotic, production, screaming, distorted, everything. It wasn't polished, it wasn't supposed to be. Then he dropped Look at Me in 2015. I remember the first time I heard that song like it was yesterday, I was like nearly blacked out in the middle of Gov Ball, and this DJ started spinning it, and it was like, I never heard anything like that in my entire life. I was already a Peep fan for a really long time, but that's like the first time I got introduced to him. Fun fact, I work out a lot, and Look at Me is my go-to bench pressing song. If you're trying to put up maximum weight for yourself, I recommend bumping that one on your headphones. The internet was going crazy for it. So here's another part in the story that genuinely gets wild. After Look at Me starts blowing up on SoundCloud, and we're talking real traction, real numbers, people are really sharing this thing, and his close collaborator, Ski Mask, are broke as fuck, couch surfing, pretty much homeless, around Miami, Fort Lauderdale, just getting by. And somehow along the way, they end up linking up with a guy named Bruno Dickums. And Bruno Dickums, you might think looks familiar, and I don't know, that's on you, dude. Bruno was a porn star, and that's just his primary occupation, a successful one at that. But he also somehow managed artists on the side, and Jahseh and Ski Mask literally moved into his house in Miami. I know. But here's the thing, as unconventional as that pipeline was, it worked. Bruno helped them get music in front of the right people. The underground buzz from Look at Me combined with that cosign and connection started moving things up the chain, and eventually it caught the attention of Empire Distribution, one of the most important independent labels in the game. But the arc cuts both ways, and by 2016, it goes the other way. And I have to talk about this because you can't tell this story genuinely and skip it. In 2016, XXXTentacion was arrested. Aggravated battery on a pregnant woman, domestic battery by strangulation, false imprisonment, and witness tampering. His then girlfriend, Geneva Ayala, was the alleged victim. And then 2017, audio leaked and it was bad. I'm not gonna play it here, but you can go and find it yourself. But on this audio, Jahseh appeared to describe what he did in graphic detail. And the tone of it was something that was really hard to even listen to. There were millions of fans that stood by him completely and said that Geneva was lying, who said that this was industry politics, this was the setup. And then there were plenty of people that said they couldn't separate the art from the man who would do something like this. Full stop. End of discussion. And if you were around during the time, following him on Instagram, I remember him going live or taking everything down off of his Instagram and writing these big heartfelt statements, or he just had such a connection to his fan, a cult following. Like, I know there's artists like Drake's who have all the backing and all the resources, but I mean, he had something that, yeah, like he was signed at the time, but he had an insane following from early on, and it was just crazy. I don't know if you've been to like an emo rap show. I just went to a Bone show recently. Like, it's not even the height of his career, and he's fucking bringing in like 1,500 people in a warehouse in DTLA, downtown Los Angeles. And it's crazy, like the energy that's going on. There's something with that scene from that time period was really sticky and connected with a lot of broken souls, I would say. But here's my take. For an artist like him that's extremely talented, it's not a pass. You can't excuse poor behavior. It doesn't take away the fact that he's extremely talented, but it's messed up. People need to be held accountable for what they do, regardless of the amazing art that they make. I sincerely believe that. I'm a human. I understand that people make mistakes. I'm not saying that there isn't time to redeem yourself, become a better person. You do the crime, you gotta do the time, and shit was going bad at this time in his life. That's just where I land on it. But you need to hold people accountable. You have to be responsible for the actions that you do. And despite the amazing art that he's made and the amount of people that he has connected with, at this point in time, he fucked up. But here's the other layer that makes this genuinely complicated. Jahseh, in interviews, in his music, talk about being aware of his own darkness, about wanting to change, about being a broken person trying to figure out who he was. Whether that was genuine introspection or whether it was performance, I genuinely don't know. Nobody does. And I'm not gonna pretend that I do either. What I do know is in the last stretch of his life, while he was awaiting trial, while he was still a free man, his music and output was still extraordinary. The album, titled Question, dropped in March 2018, 17 tracks, R&B, punk, acoustic guitar, a collaboration with Travis Barker, spoken word, songs about depression, about guilt, about being afraid of himself. It was all over the place in the best way possible. It showed an artist in genuine conversation with himself. He was never worried about being perceived by others. I think he wore his faults to a T on his sleeve. I don't know if that's a weird way of saying that, but I do think his ability to connect and just be so raw is what made him stand out during this time. And he had a musical gift. It was clear, you know what I mean? He wasn't like a virtuoso on instruments and things like that, but I do think there was so much more in store for him. Let's just keep going. June 18, 2018, XXXTentacion leaves Riva Motorsports, a motorcycle dealership in Deerfield Beach, Florida. He's in his BMW. Four men approach him, and they want his Louis Vuitton bag, which was full of cash that he got so he could buy some shit at the store. One of them shoots him. He's rushed to Broward Health North. He's pronounced dead. He's 20 years old. 4 men were eventually convicted. Dedrick Williams, Robert Allen, Michael Boatwright, Trayvon Newsome, who pled guilty. 3 of them got first-degree murder convictions. This wasn't some mysterious, ambiguous tragedy. It was a robbery that turned into a murder carried out by people who had no idea or didn't care what they were ending. Within hours, the internet was chaos, grief, celebration, rage, all of it at once, in real time, in a way that was so overwhelming and deeply human and honestly kind of devastating to watch. I was a big fan, and I was like, damn. And I'm not really sure, like, was it a setup? Was someone in the store was like, yo, like, big rapper came in, has a bag of money? Were there people out there because he had beef on the streets and the court case was going on? Like, I really don't know all the nitty gritty of that, so let me know in the comments if you guys have more information on it. And here's the part that nobody saw coming. After Jahseh died, Sad, a track he'd released while he was alive that had done decent numbers, went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was one of the first posthumous debut #1s in the chart's history at the time. And then there's this. After XXXTentacion died, a kid from Chicago named Juice WRLD recorded a song called Legends. And in it, he rapped the line, "What's the 27 Club? We ain't making it past 21. He wrote that at 19, he died at 21. And I just dropped that Juice WRLD video about a week ago, so make sure to check it out as well. And here's where I land on Jahseh Onfroy after spending all this time with his story. I went back and forth on how to close out the story, what to say, how to say it. And what I keep coming back to is this, and there's just no clean conclusion here. What you have is a 20-year-old with a genuinely extraordinary gift, who also caused genuine harm to real people. He was navigating trauma and fame, legal consequences, and artistic ambition all at once, and who never got to find out how his own story ended. That doesn't make him a saint, and it doesn't make him a monster. That makes him a human being, a complicated, messy, and gifted one. And that question, what was he capable of? It just hangs in the air, right? I'm human. I may have gotten some details wrong here, so you cult following fans, take it easy on me, but let me know in the comments. I love to talk back and forth and just like shoot the shit, you know? Let me know what you think about XXXTentacion's legacy, some of your favorite songs, and iconic moments of his short but densely, insanely amazing career. He's done so much in the short amount of time he was on Earth. He's influenced me and a ton of other people's music and art, for better or for worse, of just shit that happened. My name's Alex Majewski, also known as J Sky. I appreciate everyone for tuning into my videos, showing so much support. It means a ton to me. Follow me on IG, drop a bunch of shit there. I drop videos on this channel every single week, history ones like this. And then I also drop interview mini documentaries with up and coming artists, some bigger than others, but all talented because I don't really fuck with people unless I think they're dope. Until next time, peace.